If you look at the back half of this month after that trip east, guys, they have a ton of home games coming. They have time to get healthy, set their rotations, figure out whatever the hell is going to happen with Kuminga or any other move. So as far as stretches go, I think we're about to enter one of the single biggest ones of the whole season for the Warriors.
And he's always wearing his Cubbies hat, always decked out, big Chicago Cubs fan. And the first headline I see right now when I just type in Cubs, Sports Illustrated, Cubs were Devin Williams' top choice before one detail killed the deal. Sorry, Nick. Devin Williams, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You guys going to get, who's my guy, the former Astro? Kyle Tucker? No, no, sorry.
They're not going to get anybody because they don't want to spend.
Oh.
And it's what pisses me off and a whole host of other Cubs fans all across the world. But it's why, on a quick side note, Spadone, I will always give the Warriors credit because they spend, at least in this iteration. And we can go a lot of different directions, but when you juxtapose what's going on with my Cubs against what's happening in other places, you'll always get the benefit of the doubt if you are trying to spend at the highest levels.
Let's start at the top with the Warriors. Steph Curry, you think he's going to be back this week?
It feels like that's where everything is going. And Joe, Steve Kerr has always kind of pegged Friday as the game. He said he went through everything in practice. We're headed out there in a few hours again today to see what he's able to go through. I would think if it doesn't happen Friday, maybe Sunday in Portland, but one of these days Steph will be back. He's gotten plenty of rehab time in. They don't want to rush him, but the schedule has broken finally the right way for the Warriors, and they feel like he's making good strides in his progress.
All right, so the follow-up is, what are the combinations out there to start the game if he does play with him? Is there a world where Pat Spencer starts the game?
I think there's a world where seemingly anything can be possible with the way things are going with Pat right now and the way he's gotten the offense going. Now, who the full-time starters are going to be, who knows? The only three that I would bank on always are Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy. Then we'll see. But I think Kerr has made it clear, and in the lineups we've seen, Joe, the difference is everybody's kind of like, it's going to change game to game. I think he'd like to have 5 starters that he put out there every time. He'd like to have 5 or 6 guys off the bench, the same guys every time, but it's going to change. The guys you know for sure will be there will be Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy. And after that, everybody else kind of fills in their role. But what I hear in listening to Kerr, but in the last few days, is they have a lot of players who are up for the roles. They don't have a lot of spots for the roles. So what I'm most curious about is not so much who starts, but who are the guys that just aren't going to play right now, because finally it seems like they're just about to be fully healthy whenever Horford returns from this sciatica issue. And once that happens, there are guys who are absolutely willing and have earned the place in the rotation that aren't going to happen.
So who do you mean? Quinten Post, Gui Santos? Give me a couple names. Who are the guys?
That's the problem.
Okay.
I don't think there are clear-cut, well, this guy is not going to play. I think the only one we know for sure, and this leads into plenty more questions, is Kuminga. Right now, Kuminga is out of the rotation unless something dramatic shifts. Kerr, guys, was as open about the situation as I've heard him all year last night. And he was on with Willard and Dibbs, and I think that started the conversation. And Steve said, look, he's got to just handle what is going on right now. I think he has. I think he knows the current situation, that it could change if somebody gets hurt. And I think it's in the best interest of the Warriors and Kuminga if everybody stays on the same page for now. We'll see what happens January 15th, although I'd caution everybody who thinks that January 15th all this is going to finally go away. I don't think that's going to happen. When has the deal ever gone down right on the day it was supposed to? I think this goes all the way up towards the deadline, and then maybe they make a move. Maybe they don't. And maybe Kuminga plays out the rest of the year here because the Warriors just don't like what they're getting back in return. But specific to your question, is it Gui Santos? Kerr loves him. I mean, he loves the way the ball moves with him on the floor. Is it Post? Post has been hitting those threes and knocking shots down. And Kerr said last night his defense has really improved. So they have a lot of talented players. They just don't have a lot of spots. And I think the back end of that rotation especially could shift depending on who's running hot that night.
You know, a lot was being made right now about Jimmy Butler, right? It's this alpha mentality. When they first made the trade to get rid of Andrew Wiggins, who a lot of Warriors fans were just underwhelmed by the last few seasons because they just felt like they didn't have the dog in him. He didn't have the dog. I swear to God, every time when people would call in, I just need someone with a dog. And Jimmy Butler, what's his reputation? He's a dog, right? He's going to fight. He has that famous meme where he's exhausted in the NBA bubble as a member of the Miami Heat. This guy puts it all on the line. And Steve Kerr spoke about, Jimmy's presence leading to wins and having that alpha mentality. How would you define an alpha on an NBA team, Nick?
An alpha is a guy who can put the team on his back and carry them across the line in the biggest of games. And to me, when you watch an alpha play in the NBA, you see a guy who has the ability to make everybody else rally around him and make it happen. To me, the Warriors have 3 alphas, which is hilarious because the last time I covered a team with Jimmy on it in Chicago, there were 3 different alphas, but they weren't Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy. It was Rondo, Wade, and a much younger Jimmy at that point. But Steph, we know what he's capable of. He's incredible. Draymond defensively is still unbelievable at the level he can play at. And Jimmy, when he wants to and he feels the need that he has to, still can put this team on his back in a different way than the other 2 guys. So when you see a guy who has that kind of inner belief and he can back it up on the floor in the biggest of games, that to me is what an alpha is all about.
It's interesting that that's your definition because mine would have, you almost got to be part jerk to be an alpha. For me, there's a superstar in the NBA and then there's alpha's a little different. Like Kobe, the definition of an alpha, almost could rub you the wrong way ever so slightly. In that situation in Chicago where you had Rondo, Wade, and Jimmy, was it one too many? I'm just curious. Can you have a combination of personalities that maybe doesn't work well?
Well, hell yeah, because that team didn't work at all. Joe, the problem there is Wade was no longer an alpha with his play.
He was cooked.
Wade was an alpha grandfathered in, and that was such a big problem back on that year in Chicago because Wade wanted to be treated like an alpha, but he wasn't practicing the same way. He wasn't putting up the same numbers. Then he's calling out the younger guys. Rondo, who still wanted to be perceived at that level, then was calling out Wade and Butler. It was a mess. That is not the case here. On this Warriors team, it is very clearly the whole totem pole of where everybody stands. Steph is the man because Steph is one of the very greatest players anybody's ever seen. Draymond is the emotional leader and engine of that group. Draymond sets the tone. The rest of those guys follow, or they kind of are like, okay, what's going on? And Draymond, I'll give him this always. As far as honesty goes, he's the one that said a few weeks ago, he's like, I'm not going to keep everybody's spirits up. I'm going to MF these guys when needed. When Draymond is engaged, that is when teams are at their best, which is why, guys, I think the next couple weeks are so very, very important for this team. If you start winning games, and I believe as we sit here now that for all the ups and downs, the Warriors are going to start winning a lot of games, then you get the engagement that you're going to need from a guy like Draymond, who instead of maybe tearing things a little apart behind the scenes, is going to sit there and go, hey, this team's pretty good, and we got a chance to really come together. And so I would throw Jimmy in there as well in saying Jimmy so desperately wants to win a title. It hasn't happened for him yet. He wants to be a reason why a team gets to that next place. And he wants to be surrounded by guys that are not only all pulling in the same direction, but they're all working hard, and he sees a path towards where he wants to go. I think he sees it within this group. They just haven't shown it consistently yet. The schedule is breaking their way. They've got a lot of easier games on the horizon here. If you look at the back half of this month after that trip east, guys, they have a ton of home games coming. They have time to get healthy. They have time to set their rotations. They have time to figure out whatever the hell is going to happen with Kuminga or any other move. They have time to bring things together. So as far as stretches go, I think we're about to enter one of the single biggest ones of the whole season for the Warriors.